हे एवरीवन, आई एम सत्येंद्र चंदेल फ्रॉम नमो स्टडीज़। आज हम आपको मिलाने जा रहे हैं नमो की एक न्यू फैकल्टी से जो बायोलॉजी बैकग्राउंड से हैं, जिनका टीचिंग में एक्सपीरियंस 2 साल का है। ये अपनी ग्रेजुएशन कंप्लीट कर चुके हैं और ये एक यूपीएससी एस्पिरेंट भी हैं, जो आपके सामने एक बच्चे का डाउट लेकर आ रहे हैं। आइए सर।
Thanks Namo for introducing me. I am Mandeep Sandhu and today I am going to solve a doubt of a student Saksham Sharma from class 10 of Delhi Public School Moradabad. His doubt is related to brain and its part. So basically before understanding the topic brain and its part, we have to know a brief definition of biology. What is biology? Because the topic brain comes under the branch of science biology. Okay. So if we talk about the biology, biology basically means study of livings. Study of livings means biology. It is a definition of biology. And if we talk about the word biology, it is made up with two words, which is bio. Basically, bio word is extracted from the word bios, and the second term is logy. So basically bios means life. Bios means life. And if any word comprise the suffix logy, it means study. So after merging these both terms, we get the definition of biology, which is study of life or study of livings. Basically, biology has two branches. First one is botany. The second one is zoology. And if we talk about botany, in botany we will study about plants, and in zoology we will study about animals. So the father of biology was Aristotle. And the father of botany was Theophrastus. And if we talk about the father of zoology, so he was also Aristotle. So it is a basic keen understanding of term biology and its branch, and the father of biology and the father of its branch. And now we are going to talk about our topic, which is the doubt of Saksham Sharma, which is brain and its part. So basically brain and its part, our topic brain and its part came under the branch zoology, because in zoology we will study about animals, so we will study brain in zoology. So our topic is brain and its part. So let's start with the topic brain and its part. So basically, what is brain? Brain is an organ of our human body which provides general intelligence, control our body, control our motion, control our dream formation. You see dreams in your night, these all are controlled and formatted by your brain, and it balance our body. I am moving over here, I am talking to you, I am teaching you, it's all controlled by my brain, and it balance my motor motion, which is I am moving my hand like this, it is controlled by my brain. I am walking around, so it is also controlled by my brain, and it control our hunger, emotions, feelings. These all things are controlled by brain. So I hope you will get a rough idea what is brain. And if we talk about the location of brain, so it is situated below our cranium, below cranium. Now what is cranium? It might come to your brain. So if we see our head, there is a layer, which means cranium, and below that layer cranium, our brain exists. And if we talk about the weight of brain in adults, so it is 350 grams to 450 grams. It is the weight of brain that is present in adults. Adults means above the age of persons above the age of 18 years. So 1350 grams to 1450 grams. And if we talk about the average weight, which is 1400 grams. So it is not possible that the weight of brain is also same for the childs, because childs are basically 4 to 5 kg when they take birth. So it is not possible that they have a brain of weight 1.5 kg. So the weight of brain in child is 350 grams to 400 grams. So it is the weight of brain in childs. And if we talk about that, our brain started when we were child, we grow up, and when we are growing up, our brain is increasing rapidly day by day. So the weight is also increasing. So it is not possible that whole the life the brain start increasing. So after the age of 18 to 20 years, when you will get puberty or maturity, after that brain start losing its weight. It lose its weight 3.7 gram per year. It is a rough idea, but approximately 3.7 gram per year your brain start losing the weight every year after the age of 18 to 20 year. And brain weight doesn't affect intelligence. What does it mean? It means that your brain weight might be decreasing, but it does not affect your intelligence. If you have a brain with high IQ power, your IQ power will be remain same. It does not affect, weight does not affect your IQ power. So I had told you the function of brain. Now we are talking about brain and its parts. So brain basically has three parts. Which were forebrain, midbrain and hindbrain. And if we talk about the forebrain is our biggest part of brain. It also comprises of three parts, which is thalamus, hypothalamus and cerebellum. We will further study them in brief, but for a rough idea, I am telling you all these over here. And midbrain doesn't have any part because it is the lowest part of our brain. And hindbrain also has three parts, which is medulla oblongata, cerebellum and pons. Our forebrain has cerebrum and our hindbrain has cerebellum. So don't get confused between these two words. So forebrain is our biggest part, hindbrain is our second biggest part, and the midbrain is our lowest part. So it is arranged according to their size. So now we are going to start with the hindbrain because some of the things in forebrain and midbrain are connected with hindbrain. So first we will study about the hindbrain, then we will study about the midbrain, and after that we will start forebrain at the end. So let's start with the hindbrain. So as I told you earlier, we are starting with the hindbrain as our first topic in brain. Before starting hindbrain, let me tell you a brief image of our brain. So this is our brain. I am understanding that my drawing is not so good, but I just draw an image for give you an introduction of brain. So it is basically our brain. It is our spinal cord, which is going throughout our back, which is also known as backbone, to our hips. So in brain, upper part, as I told you, it is the part of forebrain. It is the biggest part in our brain. Here is our thalamus, here is our hypothalamus, here is our cerebrum of forebrain. Now this part, which is spring-like structure from there to here, is cerebellum. And if we talk about the midbrain, so the shaded blue part, which is this, is our midbrain. And this, the vertically shaded area is our pons, and the horizontally shaded area is our medulla oblongata, and it is our brain. It is our backbone. Now, if we join these three parts, which is midbrain, pons, and medulla oblongata, then it form brain stem. Sometimes this question asked in your exams, so that's why I told you these three parts, which is midbrain, pons and medulla oblongata, after combining make a separate unit, which is brainstem. So hindbrain also have three parts, as I told you: cerebellum, medulla oblongata and pons. Here is your cerebellum, here is your pons, and here is your medulla oblongata. Basically we are starting from medulla oblongata. these are the function of medulla oblongata. What does medulla oblongata perform in our brain, which is reflected on our body? Is it controls involuntary functions. In involuntary functions, there are two types of functions. First of all, what are involuntary functions? Involuntary functions are like heart beating, your respiration, yawn, sneezing, etc, etc. So basically these are two types, which is vital mechanism and accessory functions. So now if we talk about the vital mechanisms are those mechanisms, if they stop, then human death is permanent. If they stopped, then death is permanent. While accessory functions are those functions, if they stop, there is no cause of life is gonna happen. So if they stopped, death not possible. So what are vital mechanisms? Vital mechanisms are like our heartbeat, respiration, blood flow, digestion and excretion. If these any one of them is stopped, then our death is permanent. As we can see, if our heartbeat is stopped, then our death is compulsory, because the circulation of blood is going to be completely stop in our body. That's why our death is possible. If the respiration is stopped, then also our death possible. And if we talk about the accessory functions, these are those functions which if they stop, then there is no death cause happened. These are yawning, sneezing, cough, snoring, blinking of eyes and hiccups. If your eyes stop blinking, then there is a possibility of death. This is not possible. Even if we talk about the yawning, if you stop yawning, there is no death cause possible. If you stop sneezing, there is no death cause possible. Same with the snoring, same with the cough and same with the hiccups. Okay, so now we were starting with the cerebellum and pons for further pons. Okay, so let's go on to the cerebellum. Now if we talk about cerebellum and pons, so for a rough idea, you can get the location of cerebellum is here. It is your cerebellum and it is your pons. So what does cerebellum perform? Cerebellum is also known as our little brain. It controls our muscle motion. Muscle motion controlling happens in cerebellum or happens by the cerebellum. It controls our motor functions. It controls functions like chewing, speaking, writing. It helps in speaking as well as it helps in balancing our body. So for an example, if you have seen a man who was drinking, you will see that the movement of body and the way of speaking was totally disbalanced. He suddenly fall on the ground. When he tries to speak, he didn't speak in a fluent way. While he is speaking, he has somewhere a hassle. So when a man drink alcohol, it basically affects his cerebellum. As I write down here, alcohol affect it. So alcohol affect it. Whenever you see any drunken man, then you can say that he had taken alcohol and its cerebellum is not working properly, because that is came under the attack of alcohol. If any injury caused in cerebellum, then our death is possible, surely possible, because it is also known as tree of life. The nickname of cerebellum was tree of life. So I hope you will get an idea about the cerebellum. Now let me tell you about the pons, which is the last part of our hindbrain. So basically pons work like as a post office. Basically pons work as a post office. It is a kind of our post office. Here, if any organ, here are message received, if any organ sent any message of pain, anything else that is going on with that organ, so the message received from these parts and went to the post office, which is well known as our pons. You can understand by the pons and post office, these words are similar, so you can get an idea about the pons and its working. We'll directly send it to hindbrain, because hindbrain our hindbrain is deal with the heart, and if we receive any message from ear, it will send it to midbrain. If it receive any message from the nose, it will represent or it will send it to the forebrain. So here messages are delivered. Messages are delivered. Okay. I hope you will get an idea about the pons. It helps in the communication between body and the brain. As we all know, we have completed our hindbrain after completing cerebellum and pons. Now we are moving to our midbrain, and after that we will move on to forebrain. So let's start with the midbrain. So now if we talk about our next topic, which is midbrain, midbrain basically controls our sensory organs. It controls sensory organ. Now what are sensory organs? These are 5 in number. First is ear, second is eyes, third is nose, fourth is skin, and fifth is tongue. These are our sensory organs. If we talk about our midbrain, it basically control our ear and eye. It control these two sensory organs, and the nickname of midbrain is sixth sense. Sixth sense, or it is also known as sixth sense. So if any bad thing or any irresponsible thing happen with the ear, then the message will be sent to the midbrain and it will take an action respected to that sin. Or if anything happen with the eye, then its message also sent to the midbrain, and the respectively the appropriate step will be taken by our brain. So this is our midbrain. As we know that it is the smallest part in our brain, so it doesn't comprise of any part. So we will study these all things in the brain, midbrain. So okay, after that we are going to start forebrain. So let's start with the forebrains. So earlier we have discussed about our midbrain and hindbrain. Now we are going to understand forebrain, or we are going to study about forebrain. What is forebrain? So forebrain is the higher part of our brain. What does it mean? Higher part means it is the most largest part of our brain, which is forebrain. It had leadership quality. What does leadership quality means? Here leadership quality means it helps all other part of brain in their control and coordination. Means whenever any part of brain seek help, then it will send some messages to forebrain, and the forebrain will help him in the control and coordination of the same, for the same. And if we talk about the part of forebrain, then forebrains is also had three parts, which is thalamus, hypothalamus, and cerebrum. If we individually talk about thalamus, then our thalamus control our three sensory organs, which is nose, tongue, and skin. Other two sensory organs are controlled by midbrain, which is eyes and ear. So here our thalamus control nose, tongue, and skin. These three are our sensory organs. Nose basically work in smell, tongue basically work in taste, and skin basically work in touch, external pain, external temperature. And it is active during sleep. How we can say that it is active during sleep? We can say that because whenever you are sleeping and someone suddenly came and pinch you over here your skin, then you suddenly got woke up. How is this possible? Because our thalamus is working when you are sleeping. So by that we can, or other things, all the other things are also work while we are sleeping. By that we can say that it is active during sleeping, when we are sleeping, and anesthesia deactivate thalamus. How we can say that anesthesia deactivate thalamus? For that you have to understand what is anesthesia. Anesthesia is kind of an injection which is used by doctors when there is any surgery going to be performed on the human body, which is when you are got injured and you have a stitch in your body, then if directly any doctor stitch your body, then you will get an extremely pain. For that anesthesia is used, and anesthesia deactivate thalamus. When anesthesia is injected into the human body, then it will deactivate thalamus, and when thalamus is deactivated, then skin sense or totally blocked. After that any surgery, any stitching can be happen to the human body. There is no feeling of pain goes to the man or that person. Okay, now if we talk about the thalamus control our feelings, which is hunger, thirst, love and sleep. All other feelings are also controlled by which whatever the feeling that all are going to be controlled by our hypothalamus. Okay, so it control our internal body temperature, it also control our internal body temperature, and it controls supermaster gland, pituitary gland. There is a gland in our human body which is situated over here, which is well known as pituitary gland. So the pituitary gland is controlled by hypothalamus. Hypothalamus control pituitary gland. These are the functions of hypothalamus. And if we talk about the cerebrum, cerebrum had the largest part of forebrain, which is 80%, and it is the largest part of our brain. It provides a general intelligence. What does means by general intelligence? If you are going somewhere on the road and you suddenly saw a brick, you will just turn your direction and move ahead. So that general intelligence means you are not going to be hit on that. You just turn your direction and move away. That intelligence is going to provide, that kind of intelligence is going to be provided you by your cerebrum. And if we talk about other part of the cerebrum, so those are, it provide emotions, it provide or it control our memory. Basically the nickname of the cerebrum is hard disk also. All the memories are stored in the hard disk, just like in a computer. So in human body, all the information and all the things are stored in cerebrum, because cerebrum is also known as the hard disk of brain. It is 0.2% more activate in females. How we can say that cerebrum is 0.2% more activate in female? We can say that it provide emotions. As we can see that here, I have wrote a part of a work of cerebrum, which is to provide emotions. And if you see, females are more emotional than the males. Females are more emotional than the males. So by that we can say which is cerebrum more active in females. What is the percentage of activeness in a female? Which is 0.2% more active in females. So it is all about our brain and its part. Thank you.